All right, so first up, we're going to talk about our buddies in China, old China. Thanks to these guys, we really have quite set the bar on what we're going to do with COVID. So when they first were impacted by COVID, I think China took the right response and locked down and shut everything down in the city and was just like, okay guys, here's our plan. Nobody move, nobody do anything, stay in your homes, don't come outside, don't go to any businesses, shut down. That's it. And then the COVID's gonna go away. If you don't spread it, poof, it's gone. On the contrast side, you had the United States. I think they were trying to say the same thing as compared to like the US and China. When you tell somebody to do something, China, they're kind of like, oh, f you, okay, I'll do it. And then in the US, they're like, f you, I'm not doing it. You can't make me do it. You'll never make me do anything. The US. We have so much energy. I'm just not sure we know where to put it correctly. There's really been two parallels that we have to pay attention to when it comes to COVID-19. There are many countries that have taken certain extreme approaches, and the US has kind of been on the more conservative side that's been like, do what you want. The pandemic ended when people stopped caring about the lives of others. It only lasted a few weeks before it was, okay, Jim, we're gonna need you to go ahead and come into work, but I have COVID. It's fine. Don't even worry about it. There's a million reasons why that might not even be COVID. I tested positive for it. Don't even worry about it. Get your ass in here, Jim. We need you today. And then in China, you have everybody goes home, nobody works, nobody goes grocery shopping. You stay home until the virus is clear. They will shut down an entire city that makes billions of dollars a day just to not spread COVID. Yeah, there's problems with COVID. People are getting sick, people are dying. It's a real issue. But what's even more real and what's actually happening is the United States, by poor choices, is becoming more and more immune to COVID. We're kicking out more strains, we're breathing it in, we're getting more sick. Every 6 months, we're pretty much getting reinfected with a new strain of COVID, and people have stopped testing for it. People are just saying, it's a flu, or it's this other thing, no big deal. Whoa, Jim, you are looking kind of pretty rough today. You feeling okay?
Oh, I'm okay. I'm really okay.
Look, you obviously look very sick. Why don't you go ahead and take the rest of the day off and just recover at home, relax, feel better, and then come back to the office.
Oh, God, I feel terrible. Don't worry about it, Bob. I don't need to take the day off. I don't have COVID, so it's okay to be at work.
So, even though the US has probably had a tremendous amount of more deaths than somewhere like China, we are inevitably following the human chain of evolution, and people are adapting to this strain. We've adapted to the first strain, we've adapted to the second strain, we're getting up by the third and fourth strain, but the survivors are definitely going to adapt. And then those who are left over are going to continue adapting this strain. The US isn't shutting anything down. And then on China, you have them taking the extreme opposite. And it wouldn't be bad. I think they took the right measure, except the fact that they keep repeating this measure. I'm not sure that that's going to work out for them in the long term. I mean, there are huge financial losses that are happening by shutting down the economy. But then also the people they're trying to prevent from getting sick still end up getting sick at another point, but not at the rate at the US. So the US immunity is like way up here, and then China's immunity is pretty much way down here. And that's going to lead to some really, really interesting results in the next 10 years at the earliest. I mean, you want to talk about 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, even a whole century. Not just COVID, but other diseases that come about. China and the US pretty much have set policies on how they're going to respond to future pandemics now that it's a precedent. It would take tremendous energy to change any one of those directions. So, over the next course of few decades, the US through sheer willpower, is going to continue gaining immunities to this virus and other viruses at the expense of people dying. They don't want to admit it, but that's what's happening. And then in China, you're basically having folks shut down, avoid the virus, and what's going to happen is they're going to keep shutting down. They're going to keep telling people to go home. And then in 10 years, they're going to get hit way harder than the US is going to get hit with some new big disease, especially if it's a COVID mutation, you know, COVID-19 times 1 million, whatever it becomes by that point. The simple fact is the US has willingly sacrificed their population to become immune, to whereas China has not. And today, those are obvious results, but tomorrow and in 10 years, 20 years, like I said, it's going to be a huge problem for China, and not only China, but Asia, because there are many other countries in Asia that follow the same policies as China. Whether China's bullying them or not to do what they want. So we'll just have to see what happens.